They didn't warn us. No music, no build-up, just Brock, and the look on his face told you everything you needed to know before he even touched anybody. This wasn't a promo. This wasn't a scheduled segment. This was a man who had been sitting on something for weeks, and it finally came out. On Oba Femi, of all people, Oba Femi, the guy who has been walking around like he owns the entire roster, the guy who looks at veterans like they are furniture, the guy who hasn't shown fear once since he got to the main roster, until last night, because what Brock did to him wasn't just an attack, it was a statement, and honestly, it was terrifying. Let me take you back to the start of this, because people are acting like this came out of nowhere. It didn't. This has been building. Quietly, Oba Femi has been doing something that very few people on this roster are stupid enough to do. He's been disrespecting the wrong ones. Not openly, not with a microphone in his face calling people out. No, it's been subtle, the way he looks through people, the way he walks past legends like they are not even standing there, the way he carries himself like the history of this business started the day he arrived. And most guys let it go, because most guys know who they are. Most guys don't need Oba to validate them. But Brock Lesnar is not most guys. Brock doesn't let things go. Brock files it, stores it, waits, and then when you least expect it, he collects. Now here's the part that nobody is really talking about. And this is where it gets interesting. Brock didn't just show up angry last night. He showed up with something to prove. And that's a different version of Brock Lesnar. The angry Brock we've seen before. The dominant Brock we've seen before. But a Brock who feels like he has to prove something? That's rare. That's dangerous. Because think about it. What does a man like Brock Lesnar feel like he needs to prove? He's conquered everything in this business. Multiple times. He's been the guy who ended streaks. He's been the guy who walked in, took what he wanted, and left. He never chased validation. He never needed the crowd to tell him he was the best. He just was. So why does this feel different? Why did he come out last night looking like something was eating him alive? Here's what I think, and I could be wrong, but watch the footage back. Watch his eyes before he even got to the ring. This wasn't rage. This was wounded pride. Oba Femi said something, or did something, or maybe it wasn't even one moment. Maybe it was 100 small moments that finally stacked up to the point where Brock couldn't contain it anymore. Because men like Brock don't explode over one thing. They absorb, they absorb, they absorb, and then one day something small tips it, and everything comes out at once. Last night Oba Femi was that one small thing. Except the response was not small at all. Let me slow this down, because I need you to really see what happened. Brock came through that curtain and the energy in the building shifted. You could feel it even through the screen. The fans didn't know whether to cheer or move out of the way. Oba was standing in that ring looking completely unbothered. That's the thing about Oba. He genuinely does not scare easy. And in this business that's either your greatest gift or your biggest flaw. Because sometimes you need to feel fear. Sometimes fear keeps you smart. Sometimes fear keeps you alive. Oba didn't feel it. And Brock saw that. And it made everything worse. Because Brock wasn't coming down there to fight someone who was scared. He was coming down there to make someone scared. And when Oba squared up, when he didn't back down, something snapped. You saw it. The F5 wasn't just an F5. That was a message delivered to every single person in the back watching on a monitor. That was Brock saying, I am still the most dangerous thing walking. Don't you forget it. Don't any of you forget it. And now the whole roster has to sit with that. Think about what it's like in that locker room today. Nobody is saying it out loud, but everybody is thinking the same thing. If Brock did that to Oba Femi, what would he do to me? Because Oba is not a small man. Oba is not someone you look at and feel sorry for. Oba is a physical specimen who looks like he was built specifically to end careers. And Brock just handled him like it was nothing, like it was Tuesday. That does something to the people watching. That changes the math in everybody's head. But here's the thing that's going to keep this going. Oba Femi is not done. I know that. You know that. He's not the kind of man who gets embarrassed on national television and just moves on. That's not who he is. He's going to come back with something. And when he does, it's not just going to be about winning a match. It's going to be about restoring something. His name, his reputation, the feeling that he is who he believes he is. Because right now that feeling has been shaken. For the first time. And shaken men are unpredictable. Shaken men do things they normally wouldn't do. Shaken men make alliances they normally wouldn't make. Or they go the other direction. They isolate. They go cold. They stop trusting everyone around them. Watch Oba in the coming weeks. Watch how he carries himself. Watch who he looks at and how. Because the version of Oba Femi that comes back from this will not be the same one who walked into that ring last night. Now let's talk about what this means for Brock. Because this isn't just about one attack. This is about why now. Brock's been away. He's been that name that floats around backstage conversations, but nobody ever really knows when he's coming back or why. And then out of nowhere, he comes back for this. For Oba Femi specifically. Why? What is it about Oba that pulled Brock back? Some people are saying it's ego. That Brock looked at Oba and saw someone being called the future. Saw someone being talked about the way people used to talk about Brock. And couldn't sit with it. I believe that. Partly. But I also think there's something more personal in there. Something that happened that we haven't been fully shown yet. Because WWE doesn't do anything without a reason. And Brock Lesnar does not come back from wherever Brock Lesnar goes. Just for ego. There's a trigger. And whatever that trigger is, it's going to come out. Here's my honest prediction. And this is simple. Brock doesn't want a feud. Brock wants a moment. He wants that one image burned into everybody's brain that reminds them who the apex predator of this company really is. He got that moment last night. But it's not going to be enough. Because the reaction wasn't clean. It wasn't pure domination. Oba fought back. Maybe only for a second. Maybe it didn't amount to anything in the end. But he fought back. And Brock noticed. So now, Brock is going to want to finish it properly. He's going to want a situation where there is no comeback. No fighting back. No moment where anyone in the building thought Oba had a chance. He wants total erasure. And that is when this feud becomes must-watch television. Let me say something that I think people are sleeping on. This might be the most important thing I say in this entire video. Oba Femi needed this. Not the loss. Not the embarrassment. But the test. Because you cannot know what a man is truly made of until someone who has broken legends comes for him. Oba has been tested by good wrestlers. By big guys. By smart guys. By guys who hit hard. But he has never been tested by a force of nature. And Brock Lesnar is not a wrestler. Brock Lesnar is a force of nature. So now we get to find out. Now we get to find out who Oba Femi really is. Not who he says he is. Not who the hype says he is. Who he actually is. When it's real. When everything hurts and your pride is in pieces on the floor and the whole world is watching. What do you do? That's the question. And the answer is going to define the next decade of his career. One last thing. And I want you to actually think about this one. Brock Lesnar has destroyed a lot of careers in this business. Not physically, psychologically. There are guys who never recovered from being on the wrong end of Brock's attention. Because once Brock decides you're the target, once that crosshair lands on you, you spend every moment after that chasing back the feeling of who you were before. Some guys find it. Roman found it. Seth had to dig deep, but he found it. But not everyone does. Not everyone comes out the other side whole. And I need you to understand that this is the real stakes here. This isn't just about a match. This isn't about a championship. This is about whether Oba Femi has the soul to survive being hunted by the one man in this company who has never failed to break someone when he truly meant to. Quick one for the comments. Name one superstar who took an attack from Brock Lesnar and came back stronger for it. Just one. Drop it below. I want to see who you guys are thinking of. Because at the end of all of this, there are only two sides. And you have to pick. Either you believe Brock Lesnar is doing what apex predators do, reminding the new generation that legacy isn't given, that respect isn't assumed, that you earn your place every single time you step through that curtain. Or you believe Oba Femi is the future of this business and what happened last night is nothing more than the last roar of a lion that knows deep down his time is almost up. And this was fear dressed up as dominance. So which is it? Is Brock still the most dangerous man alive? Or did he just make the biggest mistake of his career by waking up the one man on this roster who has nothing to lose and everything to prove? Comment below, because I genuinely want to know where you stand. And if you think I'm wrong about any of this, tell me exactly why.